Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and I like to read. I kind of have no life. It's pretty much all I do. So today we are going to be doing my reading wrap up for the month of January. Don't worry, this isn't all of them. I also read a bunch on my Kindle because, as I've said, I don't have a life. So yeah, I didn't socialize this month. My issue is that like the second I finish a book, I'm immediately like picking another book. Like as I'm finishing, I'm already thinking of the next book I want to read because I just apparently don't want to be alone with my thoughts ever. My TBR is so long that I'm like, I don't even have time to waste. I just like to read. Like that's something that's really enjoyable for me. So I can manage to read like 20 books a month. That's normal for me. Some of these were audiobooks as well, which definitely does help. Audiobooks are reading as well, and anyone who says that they're not, you're a loser. Sorry. Okay. I think I'm just gonna jump right in and kind of go over everything. I have all of my thoughts here on my notes app for each book. I'm gonna kind of just give like a brief summary or like my thoughts on it or whatever. So let's just jump right in. The first book that I did read this month was House of Blight by Maxim M. Martineau. I really hope I said that right. That was a 5-star. That was my first 5-star of the year. I actually think I'm gonna like hyperfixate on this book for the next couple months. Like it was so good to me. This is something I received as an e-arc and I'm so grateful. I genuinely can see this being like a very popular book. I don't know, it was so good. It's part of the Threadmender Chronicles. This follows our female main character. Her name's Idira, oh god. Idira, that's what I've been calling her. She's a Threadmender, and where she lives, it's kind of like this forbidden magic that like no one really is supposed to know that you have this. So she like dyes her hair black with like herbs and stuff, coal, I can't remember, but she has to dye her hair black. She has to kind of hide it. And there's like this deadly sickness that is going like rampant around town. It's called blight, and her two brothers end up catching it. So she's like desperate to try to heal them, even though no Threadmender has ever cured blight. An ever named Orin, he ends up catching her like in the act of trying to heal them and realizes that she's a Threadmender. Pretty much they're like fae. Like they're called Evers, but the way I picture them, like they're fae. They just don't like explicitly say in the book that they're fae, but that's kind of like just how I imagine them. Long story short, she strikes a bargain with him. She goes back to his home and she lives there, and they're kind of like trying to find a cure together, while also kind of like this romance starts forming. But there's so many like twists and turns, there's hidden secrets, there's like so many things that you find out as you go, and I just need the second book so bad. Next we do have Enemies with Benefits by Roxy Noir. I'm sorry. No, I actually ended up DNFing this book. That's like a 1-star for me, essentially. I just couldn't really get into it. I didn't like the characters. It was like they had like this competitiveness with each other when they were children and like growing up in high school and everything, and like they just hated each other. It was just like constant academic competition and everything between them. Now they're grown adults and they end up like working at the same place, and there's still like this competitive nature, but it's like in such a unhealthy way. Like you guys are like 30 and they're acting like they're in high school. Like it's that bad. So I was just like, I can't get into this. All right, the next two books are rereads, and that is Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I actually did do a vlog during like rereading this where I kind of talk more about my thoughts and theories and everything for Onyx Storm. These were still just as good the second time around. This was actually way better the second time around. I remember the first time I read it, it felt kind of long and like it was dragging more and it had a bunch of filler, but the second time I read it, I ate it up so much more. So those are both 5 stars, obviously. And then obviously going along with that, we do have Onyx Storm. This was so good. This was another 5 stars. Not to give another like self-plug, but I also did a video reading this, spoiler free, and definitely watch that after this video if you want to see like my raw reactions to everything and just experience reading it with me. The only thing bad that I will say about this one is that I feel like there were so many like new characters introduced, or not even like new characters, I guess just people that I never really paid attention to before because they never mattered. So it was just kind of like consistent name dropping between characters, and also the dragons where I didn't remember like who they were bonded to. So that is like the only bad thing I have to say about it. It was harder for me to follow in that sense, but not enough to take me out of the story. I really loved like the side quests that they were going on to find Andarna's kind. I also loved how there was kind of like this trial aspect in this book as well, where they had to kind of complete these trials. I really enjoyed this one. Next, we do have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This was a 2.75 for me. This is my second Ali Hazelwood book where I'm kind of like, maybe she's just not the author for me, but then I keep hearing so many people love her books, so I'm like, maybe it's just the two that I picked up that I don't really care for. I read this one in Check and Mate. I did like Check and Mate, but still, I think it was like a 3-star or something. Like, it wasn't anything that I'm going to like think about for the rest of my life. I did enjoy this a lot at first. Like, the way it started, I was really intrigued, and then I just kind of find myself slowly losing interest. I think for a neuroscientist, the female main character is kind of stupid. And I got so annoyed every single time she was like, but he hates me. He's my arch nemesis. We hate each other. We're rivals. We hate each other. Even though he explicitly said how he felt about her, she was still like, well, he's my nemesis. Girl. I just feel like there was like so much miscommunication. Like, I wanted to rip my hair out. And then the things that happened at the end, I was just kind of like, I don't know, it felt random. So yeah, 2.75. Next, we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I don't know what this woman puts in the books, like what sort of witchery she uses in her books, because I have a good time every single time I read one of her books. I went into this thinking it was going to be like maybe a 3.5 stars, just like, you know, an average book with an average rating. No, it was a 5-star for sure. It was so good. It's a brother's best friend trope, and I just love Ford Grant, and this man has just been like so into her for so long, and like it was just such a cute book. I loved both of the characters, and I just enjoyed that one so much. Next, we have Rushed by Aurora Rose Reynolds. First off, this is called Rushed because that's how the love felt. That's literally what my review said. This was 2.5s. I ended up audiobooking this because I think if I didn't, I was not going to finish it. I just personally am not a big insta-love person. There's only a couple books where I didn't hate it. Like, insta-love has to be done the right way. And like from the moment they met, I feel like they pretty much were like wanting to spend the rest of their lives together, and like it was just weird, and she was literally coming out of an engagement, and I genuinely think if it wasn't like this insta-love thing, I would have loved this book. Like, maybe if it was longer and we got more of like a slow burn, because the actual plot of this book was really good, and like the wilderness aspect was really good. It was kind of nothing I've ever read before, where they're going on like this wilderness like excursion. I thought that was so interesting. I don't know where I left off because my memory card ran out of storage, but long story short, this would have been really good, but I just could not get down with the literal insta-love. Up next, we have Blood of My Monster by Rena Kent. First off, all my feminism out the window for Kirill. This was so good. This is another one, like, RK really just puts some sort of witchery in her books, because I devour every single book that she writes. No matter the trope, no matter like if the storyline seems repetitive, like I don't care. I will literally like, put me in this book, like put me in, coach. This follows our female main character. Her name's Sasha. Well, she goes by Sasha, and she actually is kind of like in hiding. So she joins the Russian military and she disguises herself as a man, and then she meets Kirill, who is a captain in that same military. But get this, he's also in the mafia. It's like a mafia military romance. Fast forward, she ends up becoming a part of his like personal team, kind of as like his bodyguard. This is like a slow burn. Like, the slow burn was burning. There was such good tension, and we got like a little jealousy from him. And the way it ended, I just need to read the next one immediately. If you like dark romance, I definitely would recommend this one. Also, I'm gonna have to beat this out, but he literally like until she passed out. This was a 5-star. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this was a 5-star. Next is an audiobook I did. It's called VanDemere by Kimberly Tate, and this was an audiobook that I got on NetGalley as like an ARC. Listen, this was a 1-star for me, and I genuinely think if it wasn't for the narrator being good, I wouldn't have cared to finish it, but I really enjoyed the narrator. I just couldn't get into it. I didn't find the character likable at all. I feel like he was actually kind of insufferable. I don't know, I really couldn't get into it. I did enjoy the like magic realism aspect, and I think the actual premise was interesting, so maybe still give it a shot. Like, don't base it off necessarily what I'm saying. It might end up being amazing and I just found it at the wrong time, but I just couldn't get into it. Then we have another arc. This is After Dark by Kira Bates. That was a rhyme. And again, this was a 2-star for me. Again, the premise seemed so good. It was kind of giving like a dark cowboy vampire romance. I know those are definitely words that you never would think would be together in a sentence, but that's like how it was kind of advertised. And I feel like it didn't really give that. Like, it started really, really interesting and really good, and then everything all of a sudden just switched over really, really fast. And I was like, I don't know, I guess I was expecting more build up to the things that were happening. And everything was also very, very straightforward. Like, there was kind of nothing left open for imagination. Like, it was very, like, telling. Up next, we have yet again another arc. As you can see, I was trying to catch up on my arcs this month. And this is Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. This was 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. It's about this girl who's going to her, like, best friend's wedding. But her ex is also going to the same wedding because he's the cousin of the bride. And long story short, they end up getting in like a plane crash together and stranded on this island, just the 2 of them. It is a second chance romance. And the thing I really like about this one is it has like the timeline where we're kind of getting the present. We're seeing everything that's happening right now on this island, but we're also getting the past so we can see why things didn't work out for them and like what happened and like how they got to this point. I was addicted. I love Piper and Wyatt like individually, and then I also love them together. I'm sorry if there's like a bunch of background noise. My boyfriend's literally cooking breakfast right now, so I'm trying to like speed up, but I feel like you can hear dishes clanking, so I'm sorry. Next we do have Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Chen. This was so good. This is another like female pretending to be man Mulan style like retelling. I didn't even like plan that. That wasn't my plan to read 2 books with females pretending to be men. It just kind of like happened. But this girl, her dad is assassinated, and that's not a spoiler because it's literally in the synopsis. And so she kind of goes on like this journey to find who this assassin is and everything and get like revenge. But she ends up entering this prestigious engineer guild that only accepts men. So this is where she's pretending to be a man. And she's hoping that it's going to kind of unlock secrets about her father's past and like his history and everything, because he also went there and like was in that city and everything. But there's also just so much like other stuff going on. There's kind of like a small romance aspect as well. The world also kind of gives like steampunk vibes. It was really enjoyable, and I need the second book so bad because the way this one ended, I feel like I've said that multiple times, but like the way this one ended, I'm like, I need it. Then we have A Door in the Dark by Scott Rington. I wanted to love this solely based on the cover because I'm obsessed with the cover and I really wanted this on my shelf. I really wanted to love this. I ended up DNFing this. I think I'll give it another shot in the future because I feel like it has potential, and maybe I was just like fantasied out because I read a decent amount of fantasy books this month. Like maybe I was just kind of over fantasy at that point, but it just kind of like felt like it wasn't going anywhere. This follows Ren, who is in like a wizard university, and she's trying to be recruited into a house. And I believe it's like a revenge plot because I saw a couple reviews saying that, but I didn't really get to any of that yet. I do like the aspect of like imbuing the magic into items, like personal items, like a bracelet and stuff. I thought that was really interesting. That's probably about it so far. Like I said, maybe eventually I'll give it another chance. Let me know if any of you have read this and if you think I should give it another shot, or if you think it's not worth it and I should just move on. But yeah, so up next, we do have Truth or Dare. This was a 3.75. This book was so cute. I was giggling so much in this book. I would literally die for Chris. I think he is such like a sweet, like little golden retriever puppy. This was a childhood best friends to lovers romance, and this man literally like waited for her, like for everything. Like she's off on college, partying, having fun, and he's just like, he waited for her. Their friendship was so cute, and it was very obvious like early on how they felt about each other, like even in high school and everything. Like I was literally screaming at the book like, oh my god, like why can't you guys just see it? Like I thought that they could hear me, that like I was trying to tell them like, oh, you guys love each other. They couldn't hear me. It's paper. It's words on paper. This is another one that we get like the intertwined timelines of then and now. I personally love those if it's done right. So I love seeing like where they are now and kind of like how things fell apart in the past. This is the 4th book in the series, but they are interconnected, so you can read them as standalones, which is what I obviously did. I read this one first because I saw it on my Instagram. So I do plan on going back and reading, obviously, the rest of them. I do have another reread, and I know this is probably so random, but I just missed my man, you know? So, Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. I love Christian Harper. He was #1 on my book boyfriend list. Unfortunately, he got bumped down a little bit. Now Aaron Warner is #1, but you know, understandable. I just missed him, so I was like, I'm gonna reread it. And this one I did end up also audiobooking because I already read it, so I kind of had this like on the background while I was cleaning and stuff. This is a billionaire romance, fake dating, forced proximity. He's kind of a grump, but he's such a softie for Stella. And this is part of the Twisted series, so if you haven't read these, obviously start with the first one. This one is the best in my opinion, this one and Twisted Games. I just don't think the other two compare to Twisted Games and Twisted Lies, but that's just my opinion. This is a 4.5 star solely for my man Christian Harper. Then we have Passenger Princess by Morgan Elizabeth. I rated this 4 stars. And I really liked this at first. I mean, I liked it overall. I just felt like towards the end, I kind of started to lose interest. Like, I felt like it was dragging a little more than it needed to. But I think that's a personal thing with me. Because if there's, like, romance in a book and they end up, like, getting together and being together too early on, I kind of, like, start to lose interest. I think that's why I do love, like, a good slow burn. And I feel like in dark romance and fantasy and stuff, it doesn't matter to me because there's all of these, like, outside things going on. Like mafia or like a war with dragon, you know what I mean? Like there's other things going on, but when it's just like a normal romance, it's harder for me to stay into it because it's like, what's gonna happen? They find out that she's dating your bodyguard and what, like, you know what I mean? Like where's the drama, you know? So I did start to lose interest, but again, that's my own personal fault. I did think it was really cute. Obviously it's called Passenger Princess, but I thought it was really cute because she would like get in the car and he would have everything made for her, like blankets, her coffee. There would be like her games because she played like her Switch. There would be a new book for her. And then at one point he went through the book and like he highlighted a spicy scene and was like, tonight, question mark, like, that was great. But yeah, honestly, I still ate this book up, so. Up next, I do have Fall Into You by Caroline Frank. This was a 2.5. I don't know. It kind of came up as a suggestion when I was just like looking for something quick to read or whatever and I didn't know what to read. And I was like, sure, why not? Like it sounded good. But same thing, it was kind of giving like insta love, but also like, so this is a brother's best friend. And I felt like it became very like toxic. And the main male character kind of just like was icking me out. Like it started so good and like the romance was cute, but then slowly he started kind of becoming like an ass and being like, I don't know, like trying to like force her to tell her brother and everything. And then he would snap on her and I was like, that's not cute. Like don't be snapping on her like that. Like it was very like aggressive. At least that's how I read it. Pretty much I just stopped caring if they actually would end up together or not. And then also, like, the brother, like, I get, like, whatever, the stupid protective brother thing. Like, it's fine if you're like, oh, well, whatever, like, you better treat her good, whatever. But her brother was so, like, overprotective, like, comparing to how he was, like, 10 years ago in college and everything. And it's like, do you want to be with your sister or something? Like, what? Why are you acting like that? Like, it was just weird. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. There's 2 more. So the next one is Keep Me by Sarah Kate. Okay, listen, hear me out. This book was a wild ride. I rated this 3.5 stars. I kept going back and forth because some moments I was like eating this up. I was like, oh my god. And then other moments I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, what the heck did he just call her? Do you know how many times he called her like cow, fat cow? I'm like, I just don't know how you could love a man that's calling you a fat cow personally, but like I said, hear me out. So I would definitely say this is like a bully romance. I don't think it's really advertised as that. Maybe going into it, have like the idea in the back of your head that it's sort of like a bully romance. It's also a billionaire. He's a Scottish billionaire. Forced proximity, marriage of convenience. Grumpy for sure. They're both grumpy. But the plot was like really good and intriguing that I just kept reading. And luckily the plot was good or else I probably would have given up early on. But I will say it does, you know, end up working out. He ends up going to therapy and they both have a lot of character growth and character development and their love ends up becoming like a very beautiful thing. But you kind of just gotta push through some stuff. If you really aren't into like the bully romance aspect of things or like just somebody being kind of mean, I probably would sit this one out. This was one that I audiobooked. So I think it was like maybe a little easier for me to push through it. And lastly, we do have The Lost Sisters. This one was so hard to rate because it's like, it was written really good and like I love the world, but I hate Taryn. I hate her with so much passion. I don't care. And this just made me hate her even more because why are you trying to act like the victim, girl? So 3.5. It was really interesting to see her side and everything, but I just kept getting angry the whole time reading it, and I understand that was probably like the point and I shouldn't base it off of that, but I literally had to. So 3.5 for that one. I think that is all the books. Hopefully I didn't miss any. If you guys enjoyed this video, you already know what to do. Subscribe and hit the little bell button next to it. That way you are notified whenever I do post. Share this with family and friends because it really helps me out and helps kind of grow my account, which then obviously makes me want to read more and talk to you guys more and just have like this giant group friendship that we have. Not to sound lame. Leave me a comment if you've read any of these and what your thoughts on them. Like if you agree with me, disagree with me. Let's just keep it friendly though. Like if somebody loves a book that you hated, don't like obviously roast them because that's not nice. So I will see you guys next week. Bye.